Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We're going to talk about something super fun, super exciting, but also something super complex. We're going to talk about using your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign as a predictive engine to aid the United States of America presidential candidates in 2024. Okay? First of all, I apologize for doing this. I know a lot of people come to my channels for different reasons, but I got to send some of you away on this video. All right, so first of all, if you think Dungeons & Dragons is a game, and that's what it is as its primary function, this video ain't for you. One, I very much appreciate that you've come here for one reason or another, but on this video specifically, and I understand if you need to make this choice for the channel overall, okay? If you think Dungeons & Dragons is primarily a game, and that is its primary function, this is not for you. And I don't want to be rude, but you guys will find very comfortable content on Ginny D, on Seth Skorkowski, on Dungeoncraft, all fantastic channels that are frankly better than my channel. They put more time, more effort. It's some of them, it's their primary job, right? And what you're going to find over there is comfortable content that is not going to force you to think any further about Dungeons & Dragons and will be very comfortable for you as a Dungeons & Dragons doggy paddler. This is the deep end of the pool, and what I'm about to talk about, if you think that Dungeons & Dragons is a game and you don't believe what I believe, that Gary Gygax's true legacy is unbound identity and unbound immersion, you don't have the language for what we're about to talk about. You don't have the scaffolding built into your brain for the concepts that I'm about to talk about to sit into your framework. So you got a choice, right? You can go back and watch a ton of my back catalog, right, and get ready for it, or you can go over to Ginny D, Dungeoncraft, Seth Skorkowski, all fantastic Dungeons & Dragons commentators that will not challenge your idea that Dungeons & Dragons is primarily a game, okay? I don't believe that anymore, right? And because of that, it frees me to do things with Dungeons & Dragons that nobody else can do, okay? So right now, so we're going to move forward here. If you're left, let's get into it, all right? Right now is the perfect time to shift your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign to be a predictive engine for your chosen United States presidential candidate to win the U.S. presidential election in 2024, okay? You're like, wait, what, Scott? Yeah, you're right. That's an unusual concept, all right? So here's the thing. All right. It's shaping up, baby. We're here. Like, the U.S. presidential election race is starting right now, right? And the most exciting thing is the Democrats, not the Republicans, the Democrats at virtually every level are talking out loud, right, about Joe Biden. No, ain't gonna be the candidate, right? So, go over to the Hill, go over to Breaking Points, and you will hear them saying the quiet part loud and talking about a Buttigieg Kamala Harris ticket with Kamala Harris in the VP slot, right? Like, it's getting hot up in the, and it's off. We're off to the races, baby, right? Like, we're barely into we're in year one of Joe Biden's candidacy. And people are going hard about the U.S. presidency and the race for 2024. And you're like, Scott, that's crazy, man. It's way too early to be worried about the U.S. presidential primaries and the president race in 2021. We're worrying about 2024? Yes! And you know why? Because U.S. presidency is king of the world or queen of the world, baby. We run it all, right? Like, you either are us or want to be us. Period. Done. End of sentence. U.S. president is king of the world or queen of the world. And if you think somebody else is, let's hear I'm willing to hear you, right? But that's the reality of it. And so, the race for 2024 starts in 2021, right? So, now, if you care about U.S. politics, by the way, if you don't care about U.S. politics, you obviously don't want to do this, okay? So this is just for people who are hyper competent dungeon masters of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, right? Have hyper smart, capable, adaptable, confident players, right? And are hyper interested in U.S. American politics. That's the Venn diagram we're talking about here, okay? So if you are all those things, right, you can shift your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign right now to be a predictive engine with the specific outcome of aiding your favorite U.S. presidential candidate. And now's the time to do it. All right. So why would we do this, right? Well, here's the thing. If you believe what I believe, right, and you believe in 1974, Gary Gygax introduced the world, specifically America, and by extension the world, to unbound immersion and unbound identity, you understand that what he created was a platform and a model, okay, so that the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game can aid everybody at the table, the Dungeons & Dragons community by extension, the American community, the American nation by extension, and the world by extension, right? So that's the difference. I don't believe that the benefit of a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign ends at the table, right? Every time I sit down with my players, we are attempting to make the world better. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not afraid of it. And I have goals with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that nobody else has right now. Few people are starting to get there. I'm starting to get some comments where people are getting what I'm throwing down, right? That's very exciting, and I'm very thankful for that, right? But also, what are we doing with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? We're creating a world, and then we're filling that world with non-player characters that are modeled after people in IRL. Why are we doing that? Because Terry Brooks said real fantasy is grounded in truth and life experience, right? So you want to set up a situation where you skin your favorite U.S. presidential candidate as a major faction leader in your campaign, right? And then you're going to make sure that you understand your Dungeons & Dragons setting. Are you going to be in Exandria, where there's the Kryn dynasty, the Dundalian Empire, and the Clovis Concord, and the Clovis Concord, right? Are you going to set it there, right? Or, and if you do that, essentially that is very easy, right? Your Dundalian Empire is going to be the red. Your Kryn dynasty is going to be the blue, right? And then the Clovis Concord is clearly going to be the media, flat out, right? Like, because they're a major player, right? A lot of people, call them like the fifth column. So basically, once you do this, you can set up your world, establish your U.S. presidential candidate as a skinned non-player character in a faction, and then you can begin running your campaign with your non-player characters, deciding to oppose or ally with your skinned U.S. presidential candidate, right? And what's going to happen then? Well, your U.S. presidential candidate, which is skinned into a faction leader NPC, right? What's going to happen then is they're going to meet challenges, okay? And if you did your predictive engine correctly, you will see the challenges that your favorite presidential candidate, U.S. presidential candidate, is going to come across, right? And then what you're going to do is when they primary, right, and they run around the country shaking, kissing babies and shaking hands, you're going to shake them hands and say, this is your next move, because you know it, because you found it out in your predictive engine. And you will use your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game to shape America's future. That's how it rolls. That's my opinion, that we can do that and we should do that. What's your opinion? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.